Hello again. Depending on how I have this set up at a time with New Year's, and I just want to count down the top power cards, and it's more specifically, generically, and then tie into a other thing I want to bring up a little bit later. But without further ado, let's get into it. What do you think the top, let's say, 8 to 10 power cards of this format or the whole season of 2025 been? I want to give it some easy perspectives for you. Son Goku been the linchpin of every red deck. Every red deck I seen, 90% of the time had that in it. Really great, versatile, and it stabilizes Red's defense because if you know, between this season and last season, we took a lot away from Red, and this was like coming out of History of Z off the back of that when we were in the process of nerfing Red. This has been carrying the extra weight. Getting on to the next card. This one is the latest of the print of it from like maybe early last year or mid last season. Most Shadow Dragon players been playing this. Also, other yellow decks slot this in just for certain matchups and just to control the pace of the game. My next one, speaking of a Shadow Dragon, yellow or green, no matter what type of dragon it is, they're running this. This is kind of like a top end closer for a lot of yellow and green decks just to follow up if the secret don't get you there. Other potential is this freezer right here. Fearsome transformation. This has been in every yellow side deck because the format has been red sands for as long as I remember. So if you're playing yellow, you always had some of these in there. And there were a group of top players that were just maining 1 and 2 copies of this in the main deck and siding the third. Just so they don't have to get ready because they already are ready. That was number 4. Going on to number 5. This is kind of a late bloomer towards the middle, but it got played recently enough to I would give it that top 8 slot, and we'll go over top 8 in a minute. This having the active main to KO something before it even comes out to interact with it, this sets it apart from a lot of other cards of its kind, as well as the charismatic, which that got limited to 1, which hurt green defensively, which green is still hurt defensively because nobody want to use the other Goku counterplay, but I'll have a discussion on that in another video. But this one kind of was doing the heavy lifting, and this can be defensive and offensive pressure. Going on to my number 6. This I've had some type of way about because a lot of people were having their gripes on this. Nah, I'm not going to go to that one so soon. We'll just start off with this one. Even though it recently got a very expensive reprint, I still think it's pretty generic for like a lot of decks, especially the black decks that really kept them kind of relevant. And I would say besides the Vegeta, if you don't know Vegeta's Fighting Spirit, the 30k, this has been the second most played overrealm. I would bet some money on it. But this definitely in contention for be one of the, if not the best cards for the format. Going on to my Next one, I was all out of frame, but it's okay. My next one is of the top of the top. There's only one thing I'm mad about this card is this card came out in set 24. Set 24. Almost 3 years ago. 3 years, Bandai? Almost 3 years and no reprint? What are you thinking? I'm going to lean into that after this, but 2 years ago, we all rejoiced. Black finally got a counterplay that you didn't have to pay energy for. Yay. And it was really strong. And luckily, it didn't say 6 or less. Oof. It would have had more of a chokehold on the game. But 5's pretty respectable. Did everything we needed to do. And built the drop up, which was pretty fortunate for us. And for the last card and like the most standout of the bunch, even though I'll do some honorable mentions after this, Broly. This card right here, he was him. All I gotta say is go back to the finals, NA finals, and see how much work he put in. Don't know too much about the other regions finals. I just know about ours, since it was like mostly stream most of the best games through. But all my people across the ocean and for every which way outside of NA, let me know how this card performed in your nationals. Us, this was killing them, killing us. But Blue, I will always say, is the final boss of the game, because I think Blue has the strongest combos. The only thing is, it is a bit of a trek to get there. But it kind of balances out. It's easy, but not given. And the reason why I put it like a top 8 to 10 or a top 10 for the best, strongest cards from this season is because segueing from this, these 8 cards right here would have been amazing all art national prizings. I don't know how we came to the choices that we came to. Random guessing. I'm just gonna pick this one. You gotta have somebody in the know, Bandai. I remember I used to do these videos like 4 to 6 months before a season, and I'm gonna do it again, pointing them in the right direction, because I am more than confident, and it's showing up going to my previous videos doing things we would like to see in our prizing pack. I was at least 60 to 70% every time, because I think Bandai and their representatives look and watch the videos and analyze the data to some extent, but still analyze. That's why I think it's so important for like content creators to, and like more people to get out their opinion, just to help us create a very good price structure. And I know it's not the best, but this game in particular has so much potential to mold itself to be better, with our influence, our own hands guiding that. And that's why I say this game is not like any other. Rounding off the top 10, I guess my whole point was these would have been great pricing in there, even though we got another one of those. But man, these were the, it would have been good for some of the strongest cards of the season just to have their own national stamp to them. I really like the formula of the 2022-2023. I'm not sure we did it again for 2024, but the nice stamp cards, those what I really enjoyed. But some other cards that was pretty performing is Nova. I seen that in a lot of decks. Dormant. This is another black card that a lot of black players play. Is out of the new sets. And Vegeta. This is kind of a negate. Vegeta and the other SS4 Vegeta, the blue in this, has been kind of, this kind of came into more play with Prismatic Clash. Not a lot of people was running this until like maybe some Arizo Tech was attacking this in on a mainstream scale, keyword mainstream scale. But it wasn't, I always, my friend, shout out to my man Quan, always thought this card was good from reading it. Some people just have that no talent that say, this card is going to be good one day, or this card is good enough to be good today, and I'm going to make it that way. This is something I'm now splashing into anything that I have multicolor energy in, because this can float into almost anything. And you'll see that in later profiles. Say the other few mentions would be the cooler Pilaf was very staunch in it. Janemba really putting it up. To when Iron Broly came out of History of Z, this was the go-to card, and this was like one of a removal that replaced itself. And through barrier, which was really strong. Can rest something through barrier, pop it. My honorable mention personally for myself is this pan. I don't think this pan gives enough credit for red decks, not just red pan, but this does a lot of heavy lifting. I so wanted to put this in my combo in my Android deck, but space, and I don't like when I settle on the list, I like to narrow it down to 50. But in the beta testing, I really like this. But the other few cards were Vegeta. This is an old one from the, I want to say, Perfect Combination set with the UI Goku. That deck still managed to win the regionals every year, and for the last couple years, that just either have a faithful player base or I don't know what. But this was a generic linchpin for that deck that branched outwards that I've seen in a lot of other decks. And shout out to Glorio, one of our new cards from the new set. That has been really good and helping other blue decks get a little bit faster, because I know it was primarily for Daimaku. And for my last few, one of them is controversial. I think Koichikai was the face of this format, low-key. It was the mask behind the mask. It was the Broly's Berserker mask. It was just holding a lot of stuff back. But I think we can get a nice, cool reprint of this, because I think it not too strong, but that has yet to be seen. And I have a healthy amount of skepticism that is going to be too damaging to the format and those conversations that go there. And we still need to finish printing our SGRs. That's all I gotta say. And our Tuck 2 super combos from set 24 and 25. There is red ones, the Hercules. I'm only showing 2 for right now because I didn't want this video to be too long as I'm wrapping it up. But generically, what I'm getting at is like you want to look at these and have some introspect to like maybe reincorporating that back into the competitive scene and format. I'm like, these would have been really great to inject back into the community. I still know there's other regionals. Hopefully, somebody, mostly Bandai, watching this and pick from these cards to craft our wave one of regional promos from these. Please and thank you. The event packs, I'm like, that will be super optimal. Because I remember the other thing we used to have is like, we used to have like a side pack for the Z deck. And like, these were some notable Z deck cards from the format that could be incorporated in there. Never got a reprint. Just for that sake. And Trunks. I know this has been a long one. I'm going to touch base on this in another video as my hopes for 2026 and hopes for year 2026 to be more enjoyable, less complaints on the field of things to being too strong or not. Let's just enjoy our time playing the game and creating new and interesting strategies that push the level and the height of the game. That's my final message for 2026. I don't want too many stuff leader locked or banned or errata just to make it weaker. We don't need to make the game too much easier. That's what we have Fusion World for. No knock to Fusion World. If we want it super dumbed down or more condensed, that's where the ideas should flow. But I just want to keep pushing the agenda to broadening the horizon and just making things more interesting as more sets and new strategies come along. I don't really want to gatekeep things out of that. That's my TED Talk, and thanks for watching. Hopefully, see you for the better in 2026.